Howdy, everyone. Welcome to this week's installment of the Wicked K's podcast. It is me, the one and only Rev Kev, and my co-host, Rhea Ripley, because she's such a Kyle.
Wow. Cold-blooded.
As soon as I saw it, and I'm like, you showed me that video, and you were like, oh, Rhea's such a Kyle. I was like, his new nickname's going to be Rhea now, so you're now known as Rhea.
Wow.
Not a bad thing. I mean, you're the SmackDown Women's Champion, so that's good stuff.
That is true.
So, sorry, I should get a sip of water. I've had a bit of a throat issue recently with my new job. I think I'm collecting too much dust, and it's killing me. I can't register my high voices. I can't do my Mario voice. I can't do my Mickey Mouse voice. My daughter's very disappointed, and she tells me, Father,
I can't believe you done that.
and it's not good. So we've got some stuff to talk about. So we did the episode last week, which was the Stanley Cup preview, or what we thought was going to happen. I do believe that I forgot to mention the EA sim. I don't think we talked about that, so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to try to do a quick recap, and I do mean quick recap of all the series. Everybody's been into 4 games now, so it's just a matter of waiting for the rest of them to be played out and to see how the rest of the first round ends up. There's been a lot of interesting stuff that has happened. Also, we'll have some conspiracy theories that are sports related to talk about. There'll be no issues this time like there was the last time, so that'll be a sort of a do you believe segment. But first things first, we have a new Patreon subscriber, our first one. It is my mom. So first off, shout out to you, Mom. Thank you very much. She said she'd like to go under the alias of Rev's Mom. So the Rev's Mom, thank you for the Patreon subscribe.
Yeah.
She thought your picture of the 18-inch corn dog was hilarious.
Yeah.
And she did say she wanted to be on today's show. So we're just kind of talking and stalling for time while she texts me so we can give her a quick phone call.
Do you have any idea what you want to talk about with her, or do you want to just rapid fire some questions out there?
I mean,
let them get to know her.
We could rapid fire some questions. We could just talk. That's a good question. I don't really know what we are going to talk about. I didn't really go through that. I think we're just kind of wing it. I guess while we're waiting, I'll quickly try to get the EA Sports things out of the way because I already have these up and ready to go. So there were 2 different simulations that I did, and I know I talked about this last week, but like I said, I don't think I went over them, and if I did, we're going to do it again for due diligence. So this one is what would be considered the quick sim. So it's basically just when you go into the NHL game, you can press skip to next game, and it goes to the next game. There's also a button that's simulate, and if you click into it, it brings you into the game, and it shows you what's happening and who scores all the goals and people refer to that as the quote-unquote real-time sim. So for the quick sim, this is what EA Sports had. They had Carolina winning in 6. They had the Rangers winning in 5. They had the Panthers winning in 5. And they had the Lightning sweeping the Leafs in 4. So that none of that looks like it's going to happen. Potentially Carolina could win in 6 if they lose to Game 5, of course.
Yeah.
They are up 3-1 in the series, so we'll get to that later. Then they had Carolina winning in 5 in round 2 against the Rangers. They had the Panthers knocking off the Lightning in 6, and then they had the Panthers going to the conference finals against the Hurricanes with Carolina winning in 6. On the flip side, they had Colorado sweeping Seattle. They had Dallas beating Minnesota in 6, Vegas knocking off Winnipeg in 7, and LA sweeping Edmonton in 4. Dallas winning in 5 against Colorado. 6 games for the Kings over the Knights. And then 7 games, LA beats Dallas to get to the Stanley Cup final, but they come up just short as Carolina wins in 6 games over the LA Kings. So that's the first sim. The second sim, which was the real-time sim, which took forever. Because that first round, you have to do all the games, and it takes forever.
Yeah.
It had Carolina winning in 5, the Rangers winning in 5, Florida winning in 7. So both times it had Boston out in the first round, which I found fascinating. And it flipped the sweep. So it went from Tampa Bay sweeping to now Toronto sweeping to get out of the first round. Had the Rangers winning in 7 against the Hurricanes. Again, it had the Panthers winning in the second round, this time in 5 games against the against the Leafs. It had the Panthers winning in 6 games against the Rangers, so the Panthers going to the finals, which I don't think that's going to happen, but you can never rule it out.
That's true.
It had Colorado winning in 7 against Seattle, Dallas sweeping Minnesota, Winnipeg knocking off Vegas in 7, and LA winning in 7 against Edmonton. So I think both times Edmonton got knocked out in the first round. Dallas winning in 6 against Colorado, Winnipeg winning in 5 against LA, Winnipeg sweeping Dallas to get to the finals, and the real-time sim has Winnipeg and Florida in the finals, and they have Winnipeg winning it in 5 games.
Oh, wow.
So, I'll say this for EA Sports, it looks nice, but when it comes to actual simulation being correct, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I wish it was. I wish they would focus less on hut cards and making money. Though I will say, people spending $70 for a pack of cards on a video game virtually, I can understand why you would care more about the money than you would care about the content of the game.
Yeah, because that's their whole game. The whole idea is to make money off of it. And if people are willing to spend that money, then it's just a bonus for them.
Exactly. What's been new in your world while we're just kind of in a holding pattern right now?
I mean, nothing crazy's going on right now.
Which is good. Hey, your favorite time of the year is right around the corner.
Yes,
We're
summer.
a couple weeks away from summer.
Summer. One of my favorite times of the year. I love water parks and, going fishing and camping and anything outdoors I can do, I love.
She's ready.
She's ready.
She's ready.
All right, show me her number.
Yeah, I will. Hold on.
You don't want to say it on air, so
No, we do not want to do that. She would be very disappointed with me. Just read it to yourself out quietly.
Okay.
All right, we're going to see if this works. We tested it out with just me a few minutes ago, and it did do okay, so we'll see if this works. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. First time giving a call and seeing what happens. All right, here we go.
Here we go. That's great.
That is
Hello?
good.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can sort of hear you.
Welcome to the Wicked Case podcast. It is your child and your other child.
Yeah, you guys are a little bit muffly.
Hold on.
He's working on it. This is the first time we've done this, so there might be a couple of hiccups, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're giving it a try here. Can you hear us now? Is it better? Is it no? I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because we can hear you.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to give dead air. I'm just waiting to see if you're...
No, we're good. We can totally hear you. You're coming in crystal clear. You're perfect. It's just us on the other end to you.
I'm trying to think of why that would be. Why we sound muffled.
I don't know. Yeah, we can definitely hear what you're doing on. So you can just talk and say hello to everybody if you'd like.
I don't know if she can hear us. Hold on.
That's better. I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
As you're moving the mic, I can hear.
Okay, so maybe it's the mic that we have to deal
Yeah.
with here. Can you just hear me or can you hear both of us?
I don't know if... Hold on.
I'm trying to move the mic and make this work.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why it's... I mean, maybe it's doing it through the phone.
Yes, no, that's good. I can hear it fine.
You can hear me, but I bet you can't hear Kevin because I think it's coming through the speaker of the phone, not the actual thing here.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear Rev Kev.
That's okay. Nobody needs to hear the rev.
Oh, no, I can hear you now a little bit, Kevin, if you get closer to the phone or whatever that speaker that Kyle's using.
Oh,
So
so
put it right here.
So maybe we should just do it this way.
So you can hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear both of you clear, yep.
All right, cool. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Kyle.
Welcome to the Wicked Case podcast.
Why, thank you. Am I the first caller ever?
First caller ever, and we just shouted you out to be our first Patreon subscriber, and we greatly appreciate it.
Yes, I know. I was sitting there thinking one day, and I said, I believe in these boys, so I'm gonna jump right in, and I want to be the first one.
Yeah.
Because I know this is something you guys have worked really hard for, and I'm so proud of both of you. But my only thing is, could you guys please put more content on the app?
more content on the app.
On the Patreon.
Yeah,
app.
I don't want to just see Kyle with the corn dog.
But that's a sexy photo.
It's an interesting photo, and every time I open the app, it's the first thing that pops open. It's kind of scary after a while.
We do have other stuff, so we'll fix that.
Okay.
I told you about the other stuff. We have the two videos I can send you of us doing the one chip challenge, and
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to see some different things.
Yeah, we're definitely going to put some more stuff up there.
Okay, awesome. And then the only thing, I had just a couple of other things I wanted to just talk to you guys quick about. Kevin, I want you to know that your grandmother is 72. She is not in her 70s or 80s. If you had bet on that 80-1 odds horse that you talked about in like one of the first episodes, I'm glad to hear that you would buy Bruins tickets for the Brew Crew and not share at all with your mother.
you could have come along.
Do the Ken Griffey Juniors ring a bell?
Yes, they were.
Does that $300 jersey that you talked about, one of your surprise Christmas gifts, that ring a bell?
I'm beginning to think this was a mistake.
Okay. I'm just saying. Okay, and then my other thing was I really enjoy your podcast. They are so much fun to listen to, and they're really amazing. You guys do such a great job. You can tell that you're not like amateurs. You guys have gone to school for this. You studied hard. You went to school for a while. It wasn't just like a weekend and you became certified. You guys went through the snow. You drove all that way to go to school. So again, I'm very proud of both of you. You've come a very long way, and I would like to hear, if I can just input a little something else. I enjoy what you talk about. I like the games that you play and the questions and stuff like that. But I would like to know if you can talk about other things that besides sports. Like, you talk about certain sports, which I love because I love sports. But if you could add baseball, even though you're not a fan of baseball, and maybe talk about all the teams and not just the Red Sox. And then just like some current events, like music. It doesn't have to be like religious or political.
Nope.
But, just maybe some other things that are happening with some celebrities or stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
like when stuff happens in the world, like the train derailment that happened in East Palestine, just stuff like that. And maybe try to find a website that would maybe give you guys where people could donate to that. That's a safe website if you guys did research on that. Just stuff like that.
Okay.
She came prepared.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, and then the only other thing I have was if Kyle, if you had any questions for his Rev Kev's mom about Rev Kev, if there's anything you would like to know.
Oh God.
Oh boy. Yeah, there's plenty of questions I have about the Rev. Why don't we start with you telling me what Rev was like when he was a child?
He was very good. He never got into any trouble when he was little. The only thing I can remember about the Rev is he was probably 2 and obviously didn't know any better. We were at the grocery store, and I was cashing out, and we wheeled the cart out, and he lifted up his hand, and he had a pack of gum in his hand that I did not pay for. So I had to wheel back into the store, go to the courtesy desk, and I just paid for the gum. He wanted it anyway, so I paid for the gum. It was like little chiclet gum, so it wasn't like it was big chewing gum because he was only 2.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I remember. But he was always really good, always so good. He listened very well. I was told many times when he was under 5 years old that he was very well mannered. Sorry, listeners, I don't know what happened. You have my utmost apologies, but I did, as a single mom, do my very best to make sure that he was always polite. He was always involved in sports, kept him out of trouble.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
I will say I think he turned out pretty well. You know,
I agree.
I mean, once in a while he can give me a little shit, but usually.
Yeah, he does. The only thing I'm really majorly concerned about is, as he's talked about in past episodes, is his weight.
Yeah. Hey, if it's any
So,
consolation, I'm also a chunky boy as well.
Yes, I know. But you didn't pass out on air. Just saying.
That wasn't from weight. That was from laughing too hard. And if he laughs
Okay.
any harder, he might pass
I might
out.
pass out myself.
But it still needs to be addressed, and Rev and I have already discussed it.
Jesus.
Moving forward, anything else? Are you curious about anything else?
Can you remember any embarrassing stories about the Rev? I mean, ones that can be repeated on air.
Yeah, nothing seriously comes to mind right now.
Okay. You want a story for you? I got a story for you, and she can probably revise some of it when I tell you this. Go
ahead, Rev.
What was I, 4 when we went to Sesame Place and we were at a Howard Johnson's for breakfast, and my pancakes came in my high chair and I fell asleep and I went face first right into the pancakes and syrup.
Ooh.
And I got up and there was syrup all over my face.
That is very correct. That is correct.
Okay.
Wouldn't necessarily call it embarrassing, but
yeah.
And if you're gonna talk about me taking stuff when I was 2 at the grocery store, he has to also mention that when I was around that same age, my dad would have his beer in a koozie, and I would run over to it thinking it was soda, grab the beer, and start chugging it, thinking that it was soda. And my dad would go, "What are you doing? Give me that!" And maybe that's what turned me off alcohol. I had it at such a young age. I didn't want it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm done. This is it.
Yeah, that could be constituted as an embarrassing moment. I think that the gum incident was more an embarrassment for me than it was for the 2-year-old.
Well, to be fair, at least I was like 2. I didn't really know what I was doing. I wasn't.
No, well, that's why I said that from the beginning.
I wasn't like.
I don't really know of any embarrassing situations.
Oh, thank God.
That come to mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll think about it when I get off the air with you guys, but I'm right now, nothing comes to mind. Like I said, the Rev was always a very polite young man.
Well, that's because I was an only child. I didn't have any other influences to harass me.
No, it was because I was pretty much on you all the time.
She was.
Yeah.
She was.
I mean, that makes sense, though,
Yep.
All right. So, I think that's enough stories about the Rev.
Okay.
I think we want to hear a little bit about you. That's we want the listeners to kind of get to know you a tiny bit.
Okay. Well, I live in Florida, in Port St. Lucie, and I'm getting married in June. I'll be up in Connecticut for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin is very much, I have to say, the Rev Kev is my greatest accomplishment in my life.
Oh.
He has always been a joy. We have a very close relationship, the Rev and I do.
Hitting with the feels.
He is one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. And
this planet we call Earth. What are you doing, guy?
I'm trying to get comfortable here.
Jesus. This isn't an episode of Oprah, man. You can just do your thing.
You guys are unbelievable. I'm really excited about being part of the Wicked K's community now that I'm on the app.
The Nation.
The
Wicked Nation.
I'm hoping that more people will follow and sign up for the Patreon. I think that it's going to be great, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to coming home next time after the wedding and seeing you guys at a fair. I want to see a booth at the fair.
Oh, that's something we're definitely planning on doing.
We're definitely planning on doing that, absolutely.
Yeah, and if that's something I can help with, if I can buy like some T-shirts, or I have a Cricut machine, I can make stuff, so anything you guys want, you let me know.
Ooh. I mean, we might take you up on that offer.
Absolutely.
Okay. You just let me know.
Oh, we definitely will.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, I miss the Rev a lot because we don't see each other except on FaceTime. But That's why I really enjoy the shows, because it's like I listen to them in the car a lot, and it's like you guys are right here in the car.
Hey, by the way, you have more good news coming your way, because I recently found out that the Florida Panthers, who are playing the Bruins right now in the series, are 90 minutes away from where you live. So
Nice.
next year, I am definitely planning on coming down to visit you, me and Kyle, and going to a Panthers-Bruins game. And you are obviously are more than welcome to come with us.
Yes, and you guys are always more than welcome to come in here and visit here.
Oh, that's the plan. I got to see what the schedule looks like for next year and when they're going to be down in Florida, but we'll definitely be down, hopefully, to do the show.
That would be amazing.
We could do a show down there.
Oh yeah, I can
Absolutely do a show.
Equipment is portable, man. I can take it wherever.
We're poolside down in Port St. Lucie.
that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it about me. I don't really know.
This might be a little off topic, but I know you said that you had a catchphrase. So if you want to throw your catchphrase out there so we can clip it and we can use it on our show, go ahead.
Yeah, my catchphrase is, and I use it a lot because I'm sorry, and I'm born and raised Connecticut girl, but I am really sorry to say this on air, but Florida drivers are terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And I know I'm a transplant too, but there's way too many people coming here now. Please stop coming to Florida. Go someplace else. I'm sorry. We love your tourism. We love your dollars. But just come and visit and go back to where you were originally from.
Damn you people. Go back to your shanties.
So, anywho, my catchphrase, because of all these crazy people down here, especially the Floridians that don't know how to drive, especially in the rain. They don't know how to drive in the rain. If you're not from New England or somewhere where it snows, you just don't know how to drive when the roads are wet and slick. Most of the accidents that happen, the cars have a Florida plate. So on that note, my catchphrase is, you're such a jackass.
Love it. Love it. And that will definitely be clipped, and that'll definitely be used in replacement of the sad trombone.
Oh, very cool. I am very honored. Thank you so much.
So we'll have the LA Night one. We'll have the one with Lilybug. We'll have Eddie's, and then we'll have yours. And we'll just keep those in rotation for now until something else comes up.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I have some errands to run on my lunch break. So I am going to sign myself off. But it has been an absolute pleasure to be the first caller and the first one to get on to Patreon. I am loving it, and I look forward to more content on it. And you guys just keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you, and you guys are rocking it so god darn hard.
Thanks, Mom.
She keeps hitting the
You're
feels.
welcome. I love you both.
Love you.
Love you.
Peace and love, Mom. Let's get wicked.
Can't wait. Yeah, let's get wicked. Woohoo! Wicked Tessa.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That was amazing. I was not expecting her to be that prepared. Like you and I were literally just talking. What kind of questions are we going to ask your mom? And she just comes boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
I will say there is another critique that she has that specifically pertains to you. She's not a fan of all the poop humor.
Oh, come on. Poop humor is great. It's universal. Everybody poops.
I know, but she's talked to me about it before. She goes, "You guys do a great job," and and to also to hit her concern about talking about more sports, specifically baseball and stuff. I'll say this: baseball is very young into the season, and I know I don't talk a lot about NBA, and I do apologize for that, and I should probably talk more NBA. But again, we haven't anybody that sent us a comment or a message or something saying, hey, could it be a possibility if you guys could talk basketball? Now, that could come from someone like, I don't know, Colin, because Colin likes basketball. But I just being honest, I don't follow it like I would follow the NHL. And with the pace that the Bruins are on right now, that's kind of my main focus. So for that, I will say to anybody that's listening who wants to hear other sports content, I'm sorry. I can't speak for you. I'm sure you say sorry too. But
yeah,
I mean, once we get to like the conference finals for basketball, I'll probably obviously be a little bit more invested because now you're down to the Final Four. I can say basketball related. I am surprised, and I know you don't know this, but I'm surprised that the Miami Heat, who are the 8th seed, are currently leading the 1 seed Bucks 3-1. Now, that could be because Giannis was hurt, and Giannis didn't play a lot. Aside from that, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I
I will say there was something I wanted to talk to you, but I'm going to talk to you off air about it.
Okay.
As we get further into more what we do, I have an idea to remedy that.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it off air because I don't want to promise the people anything.
Oh, that's good. We shouldn't do that because if we promises, that's bad.
Yeah, no. The only time we'll talk about it on things on air is if we're really planning on doing it.
Right. All right. So let me run through this real quick because I do want to get to these conspiracy theories because we're almost about halfway through our episode. We usually do about an hour. So, pardon me. Hold on. So here's a quick playoff recap for all the Stanley Cup playoff games through 4 games so far. So first and foremost, you got the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. Bruins took game 1. People did say that, they might have gotten a little bit lucky with a couple of bounces. That's what the Stanley Cup playoffs are all about, lucky bounces. Panthers definitely responded in game 2 with a big 6-3 win. God bless you. Bruins did not have a full effort. Bruins came back strong and took game 3 and 4, 4-2 and 6-2, and have put themselves in a very great spot for a potential win in game 5 to end the series. He's going to blow his honker, for those of you who are asking. That's what you're wondering what's in the background. The one thing I will say about this series, and I'm sure you can attest to this, I'm calling it out right now, and I know other people have, so it's not like I'm being, very independent here. The NHL Department of Player Safety, and specifically George Peros, who's in charge of it, is a fucking joke. You're telling me, Matthew Tkachuk can just come up from behind and cross-check Garnet Hathaway in the fucking kidney, and then he's going to get a $5,000 fine for it and no suspension. They have to... You got to reset everything if you're the Department of Player Safety. Literally reset everything and go from there. And make the standard, if this is what you do, this is what you get. Michael Bunting got suspended 3 games for whatever the hell it was he did, and I don't quite remember off the top of my head. It was after the end of the period. There's no reason for you to do it. And then guess what? Matthew Tkachuk freaking did it again in the second period. When is it going to end? And then the other players get suspended because they feel like they have to police themselves because the referees or the Department of Player Safety, and I use that in air quotes, don't do it. If nothing else, Tkachuk should have gotten at least a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, I mean, he's a menace out there. He's
a great player. He is an absolute great player. But as far as scoring points, 109 points, whatever it was he scored this year, hell of a player. But as far as like a personality and stuff, he's a clown show. His whole family's like that. Brady was like that. His father Keith was like that. That's the style and that's the game they play. And that's fine. But at the same time, no. You can't be upset. And then I don't know if you read the comment he made after the game. So they asked him about what was going on with him and Lena Solmark because Lena Solmark wanted to fight him. Yeah. And his thing was, and I apologize for saying this, but it is politically correct to say it this way. He said he wanted to find out why they call him Big Penis Linus. And then somebody said, well, now we know the reason why they call you Pussycat Matt. Because, which I thought was funny. There's actually a girl I follow on Twitter. Shout out to Lauren, who I think her name is Big Bruins Energy on Twitter. Follow her. She's hilarious. She's a big Derek Forbert fan. She loves Derek Forbert. And I might text her or message her and be like, hey, I mentioned you on my show, but I gave you full credit. I was like, yo, that's funny. I saw that. I was like, Pussycat Matt. That's fucking funny.
That's pretty good.
But he hid behind the refs. Yeah. Go hide behind the refs. Take your beating. Yeah. And then someone else had posted that somewhere in the backwoods of America, hidden is Tim Thomas smiling because he obviously beat the crap out of Burroughs and stuff in that Vancouver series. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what, and that's the thing too. As a goalie, you got to stand up for yourself. You can't just let players push you around.
Right. Exactly. So I'm glad that Linus stood up for himself, and I mean, obviously he got kicked out of the game, but at that point the game was. That's the other thing I don't like too. When you're up that big in a series, when you're up 6-2 in a game that's already over, why you got to go the physical route? Just get the game over with. Take your lumps.
Because they want to be goons.
I know that, but then the league needs to step in and take care of that and police that because somebody is severely going to get hurt. And if it's one of their all-stars or whatever or superstars, then they're going to be pissed. Let's say, for instance, case in point, and I don't want any harm to be done to anybody. let's say that the Kings go up and they win 6-2 against the Oilers. Oilers decide they want to be dirty. Someone starts throwing hits around. And then the next thing you know, Connor McDavid gets hurt. Now your big-time, big-name superstars out. What are you going to do now, player safety?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't matter who the player is and what's going on. $5,000 fine, it's whatever. I'm moving on to the next thing. But I hope for Boston's sake they get done into this series in 5 games. And this is pre-done on Tuesday, so the game would technically be Wednesday. So by the time you hear this, hopefully the Bruins series is over, or you and I are very much stressing out because Game 7's tonight. I don't want that.
No.
My favorite series so far going on is this Toronto-Tampa series, and I know we talked about this before we started the show. Lightning come into Tampa Toronto Game 1. They win 7-3, blow the Leafs out. Leafs got to respond with a big game, Game 2. They win 7-2, blow the Lightning out. Lightning had a lead going into the third period in the third period of Game 3 at home. Leafs tie it up with a minute to go with Ryan O'Reilly. They win it in overtime with a Morgan Riley goal. Leafs win 4-3. Leafs Game 4, we're down 4-1, and for Leafs fans, that's triggering because back 10 years ago in 2013, they were up 4-1 in Game 7 against the Bruins, as we all know, and they lost that game 5-4. This time around, though, the Leafs tie the game 4-4 and win it in overtime. I was shocked when I woke up and saw. I did fall asleep, and that's on me. I was tired, and I wake up, and I'm like, the Maple Leafs won? I'm like, no, that must have been from the other day they won in overtime. And I click, and I look back, and I'm like, holy shit, they did win in overtime. And I watch the highlights, and I've watched them multiple times. I'm not even a Leafs fan. I'm like, unfreaking believable. Sports are just
goes to show you that you can be down and
and I would say theirs is slight. I wouldn't say as impressive as the Bruins because the Bruins one was a Game 7 do or die because they could have tied it at 4 and still lost the series. But the Leafs pretty much scored the 3 goals to tie it between the 10-minute and 4-minute mark. So within 6 minutes, they got 3 goals, 2 from Austin Matthews, and they've been doing a good job of screening Vasilevsky and not letting him see the puck. And Tampa Bay has been hampered with some injuries, but I told you, eventually Tampa Bay is going to slow down. You can't be playing all these extra games 3-4 years in a row. It's going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, too, is the Leafs did the best possible scenario. They went down to Tampa and won 2 games, and they're still not happy because they could still lose this series. And it's good that Austin Matthews had said in his post-game conference at the end of Game 4, the series isn't over yet. The 4th one's the hardest to win. It's always the hardest to win. And I can't imagine how hard the 4th one's going to be to win when you haven't won since 2004. But the Leafs have set themselves up perfectly. You go home for Game 5 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. You're in your home building. Your barn's going to be rocking. You have a chance to send these people into a frenzy. Granted, they're probably going to be looking forward to seeing the Bruins in the next round, but you'll cross that bridge when you come to it, 1 round at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
The Carolina Islanders series is pretty much gone as expected. Carolina leads 3-1. They won a big Game 2 at home in overtime, and aside from that, they won Game 1. They won 2-1, which is a close game, 5-1, 5-2 in the 2 road games against. I'm sorry, they lost 5-1 to the Islanders, and they won 5-2. So the Canes, I believe, are playing tonight when this is being recorded, so they have a chance to end the series tonight back home in Carolina. I'm fully expecting them to win this series and move on to the next round. And then the other interesting series, at least on the east side, the Devils-Rangers. Rangers won the first 2 games 5-1 in New Jersey, and the Devils have come back with a scrappy 2-1. Scrappy 2-1 overtime win in Game 3, and then winning 3-1 in New York in Game 4. So the home team has yet to win a game yet. Now Jersey has the home ice advantage back. Can they take advantage of that? We'll see.
That's going to be an interesting game.
And the Western Conference, quickly, you got Colorado and Seattle. I don't think a lot of people expected Seattle to do a lot of things, obviously, because Colorado is the defending Stanley Cup champs and all that stuff. But the Kraken took Game 1 in Colorado. Big statement. Avs came back to win Game 2, 3-2. Avs won in Seattle 6-4, and I watched the game last night, the end of it. 3-2 in overtime, and that place is crazy. Yeah. They said they're trying to think of names to call their whole setup, because Winnipeg has the Winnipeg whiteout and stuff. So they think they're going to call the Seattle one the Deep Sea because of how dark everything is, which I'm down for it. That makes sense.
That's kind of cool.
So the Kraken are very much in this series, and this is what I love about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Anything could happen. Seattle could knock out Colorado in the first round, and no one would be surprised. Seattle has played them tough.
I kind of wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Well, I wouldn't either. And again, I will say this, though. I don't want, in case of my team, like the Bruins, I don't want an easy path. Like, I don't want to play Toronto and know that we're going to beat Toronto because we're so in their heads that we live rent-free, and then get, like, New Jersey and something, and then they're, like, gifted, like, Seattle or something. Like, I don't want that. I do want the hardest path for Boston, so that way nobody can make any excuses about, well, you went through a lot of good teams, you deserve to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, but
You got a little tear in your eye there, Ric Flair. There you go.
It's my allergies.
It's all good. You were saying, though.
My thing is that I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle just for the sheer fact that we haven't seen them in a playoff.
Well, this is their first. This is their first experience being in the playoffs. The second year in the league, and this is their first run. And I'm glad it's good for the league. It's good for Seattle. They're trying to make it a hockey town, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. And a lot of people are invested. And I can tell you this: if I lived in Seattle, I would certainly be invested in the Seattle Kraken. Be careful of them; they're dangerous.
Well, and on top of that, aren't they one of the few teams that actually beat us during the regular season?
Here's a fun fact for you: the Seattle Kraken are the only team to shut us out this past year when they won 3-0 in Boston. They are the only team to shut us out. Everybody else, we scored at least one goal on.
Yeah, which yet again it makes them dangerous. You may not think so, but like if that's a big feat.
The crazy thing with them is, do they have a lot of superstars? Not necessarily, but they have a bunch of really good veterans and role players who know their spots, who have played playoff games. Their overtime winner that was scored in Game 4, Jordan Eberle, he's played in a ton of playoff games, so he knows the stage. So,
yeah, he's learned what gets you there.
Right. The Dallas-Minnesota series right now is tied at 2. Minnesota won a huge Game 1 in double overtime that I watched, which was a great game against Dallas, 3-2. Stars came back with a big 7-3 win at home. Minnesota won 5-1 in Game 3, and then Dallas held on for Game 4 against Minnesota. So each team has won a game in each other's building and in their own. This could definitely go 7 games. It's a really good series. The biggest factor with this series is the injury in the very first game to Joe Pavelski. Does he come back? If he does, how healthy will he be? And obviously the play of Jake Ottinger. Can Jake Ottinger shut the door and help Dallas move on to the next round? So we'll see.
Okay.
Out in the West, as far as like the Pacific Division, 3-1 lead Vegas has on Winnipeg, but that could easily go the other way because it's been a tight series for the most part. The Jets came into Vegas and pulled off a 5-1, surprise win in Game 1. Vegas came back 5-2 in Game 2 to tie it up. Knights won in a double overtime against the Jets, which I think the game the Jets probably should have won and they blew. And then the Knights, of course, took 4-2 in Game 4. And like I said, it's just a tight series, but the Knights are obviously finding ways to get past Connor Hellebuck, and
that's all you need to do.
That's all you need to do. So the Knights can take care of business. I think 2 nights on Thursday night, because they played last night. So we'll see. I mean, the Jets have their backs against the wall, and from what I've been told and what I've heard before, no player will play harder in their entire life until your back is against the wall. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if the Jets can bring it, and then obviously getting a chance to go back to Game 6 back in Winnipeg. Got a raucous crowd, but you got to win. They haven't won yet at home, Winnipeg. They've lost both games. That overtime game was key. If they could have won that overtime game, now you're at least 2-2 at worst.
Yeah.
But that won't be the case, so.
Yeah, because they were given the statistics the other day for teams that either went 2-2 or 3-1 in the series.
It's not a good statistic.
Not a good statistic.
9 times out of 10, the 3-1 team usually loses. They don't. Well, the team up 3-1, I should say, usually wins.
Yeah.
The team that's down does not win. Usually 2-2 is more of an even playing field.
Yeah.
And obviously that Game 5 is pivotal.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about Game 5 is going to be pivotal. This will be tonight's game? Tonight's game, yes. The one that's a little under the radar because it's a late game, but Oilers-Kings has been a hell of a series. Kings won in overtime in Game 1, 4-3. Oilers won Game 2, 4-2 at home to split the series. Kings won on a bit of a controversial goal in overtime in Game 3 where the puck was kind of hit. Was it hit with a high stick? Was it not? It went in. All that stuff. So I don't know, but they called it a good goal. So the Kings won 3-2 in overtime. And the Kings looked like they were on their way in Game 4 to take a 3-1 series lead. They were up 3-0 after 1, but the Oilers fought and scratched and clawed their way back, tied it at 4, won it in overtime 5-4 with a Zach Hyman goal, and 3 of the 4 games have gone to overtime. This series is a crapshoot, and it could go either way. It could go 7, and obviously, the league would probably. I would say prefer to see Oilers go on because of McDavid and Draisaitl, but don't count the Kings out. So
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing is like this. It's not scripted.
Plus, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. Plus, let's talk about this quick storyline. If the Kings get out of the first round and Vegas gets out of the first round, the Kings are playing Jonathan Quick potentially in round 2. And don't think Jonathan Quick's not going to want to play instead of Laurent Brossoit. Even though Quick's probably had not played a lot of minutes, he'll be like, listen, I know this team inside and out. I want to beat this team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him the reins.
That would be interesting.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes if Brossoit's playing well. But you could do a 3-goalie rotation like they've been doing all year with Brossoit, Thompson, and Quick. Or not all year, but towards the end of the year. That way you've always got a fresh goalie ready to rock and roll.
That is true.
So we'll see. But those are the quick breakdowns of each series, and it's obviously been a hell of a playoff run so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more.
Yeah.
As far as today's real episode goes, which we won't go too long with this because there's no need for it. Long-time listener, Colin, and thanks for listening, Colin, as always. He is a bit of a believer, and welcome to the Do You Believe segment. That sports are scripted. That every team or the league hands out a script, and they get it, and this is what's supposed to happen. And I know there's been jokes made about it before, and people are saying that it's plausible and happens in football, basically because I would say football is a one-game, one-and-done thing, whereas baseball and other sports have 7-game series. You okay over there? Just stretching, burping yourself? So we're going to just run down some quick moments that could be considered potentially scripted. I'm more along the lines personally of a Mythbusters kind of thing where I'm saying it's plausible. It could be. I don't think that it is. But at the same time, there are some instances where I wouldn't exactly rule it out. But I'm definitely on the other side of I think it's just sports being sports, an act of God, a supernatural thing happening. Case in point, the Leafs game last night. They were down 4-1, came back and tied it 1-5-4. I'm not saying the Lightning wanted that to be scripted. Trust me. I don't believe in that mindset and that mentality. Like, you're an athlete, you've been busting your ass and training your whole life to win a championship and have a legacy, and then you're going to get a league giving you a script going, instead of paying you for playing, we're going to pay you for hush money. You're going to do this. So the Leafs are going to be up 3-1, and won't it be hilarious when they lose in 7 games again? If it happens, it happens. It'll just be one of those things where you shrug your shoulders and go, that's the Leafs for you. They haven't won since 2004. There's some type of hex over the top of them they can't seem to break.
Yeah. And I think usually a lot of these people that say it's conspiracy usually are disgruntled fans. They tend to be.
He is an Atlanta sports fan, so he has been struggling a lot. Like he's seen the Yankees win a World Series and the Georgia Bulldogs win national championships, but the 2 teams he cares about the most, the Falcons and the Hawks, have just not brought that championship, and it's what he desires most. He'll claim that he cried when the Kings won the Stanley Cup. He wasn't watching no hockey when the Kings won the Stanley Cup. He's not fooling anybody. And you know who else isn't fooling anybody? And I'm going to shout him out right now on the show, even though he doesn't listen. This fraud named Jay. Jay's a fraud. You ain't fooling anybody either. I'm not a missing person. I'm it's still very much in Connecticut. I just don't want to be dealing and talked with you because you're a troll. You don't need to be bringing up past shit and talking about how Bruins and Curry night makes you cry. You don't give a rat's ass about the Bruins. You can't tell me you care about the frickin' Bruins when I haven't heard from you all season during this 65-win season. Then you just happen to come creeping out of the woodwork like the cockroach that you are to tell me, oh, I'm so excited for the Bruins playoff run. I'm not biting on what you got here, bud, because I don't want to be dealing with it. You're not giving me any voodoo. You're not giving me any hex, because I already told Colin that if the Bruins somehow fail and bomb out of this playoffs, I'm 100% placing the blame on Jay. You can't just look up shit on freaking... Yeah. Exactly. You can't tell me you're a bigger Bruins fan than me because you can look up fucking Wikipedia and you know shit right off... No. If you're a Bruins fan, you know it in your head here. Did I make a couple of mistakes here and there? Sure, I can't keep track of everything, like God.
Yeah.
But I would 100% put my test of being a Bruins fan against him because he knows I'll beat him, though. That's why he doesn't want to do it. You can't use your phone. You can't be cheating. You can't be doing any of that shit.
I mean, if it's any consolation, though, I would probably lose a trivia thing with you as well.
There's not too many people that I know that could probably out-trivia me when it comes to the Bruins. Very few. Very few. Like if you're
But I'm
talking,
still a fan.
no, I know that you are, but I mean, you can't just come and go as you please. Like I've yelled and argued with him before about it, where I was like, listen, I've been in the trenches watching like 3 consecutive years where they lost in game sevens. I was there and I was watching in 2011. I cried. I had to suffer through a lot of shit in 2011. Then all the disappointment after that. 2013 losing the cup to the Blackhawks. 2019 losing to the absolute clown show, Jordan Bennington. Don't start coming into my crease. No, get out of here.
Yeah.
That being said, sports conspiracy theories. So the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead to the Cavs in the NBA Finals. Is it scripted? Or I mean, again, when you're up against the wall, you're going to play your hardest. So, and obviously the league may have a little to do with it. Maybe the calls go certain ways because of the refs. But the refs, there have been cases where referees were gambling on basketball games they were calling. So I do understand that from some type of standpoint. And obviously, it's not good TV if you lose in 5 games. It's better TV if the finals are between LeBron and the Cavs, and it's Curry and the Warriors when the Warriors had a 73-win season and they lost to the Cavs in 7 games in an epic final.
Yeah.
But again, I just don't believe that it's scripted. I'm going to run through some other ones here. The Yankees blowing a 3-0 lead to the Red Sox in 2004, leading the Red Sox to do the first ever reverse sweep in baseball, leading to them sweeping the Cardinals to win their first World Series in 86 years. Scripted? I don't know. I feel like Yankee fans certainly would not have wanted their team to blow a 3-0 lead and then lose to, of all teams, the Red Sox, and then watch the Red Sox win the World Series. Find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson missing a field goal in the 98 NFC Championship game. I believe it's 98 Championship game. Yeah, against the hold on. Against the Atlanta Falcons. It says it right there. I'm just having a brain fart. The Vikings that year were 15-1. Were looking like they were going to be invincible and they were going to go to the Super Bowl and they were going to play the Broncos. And Gary Anderson, the announcer had said, "Oh, Gary Anderson hasn't missed a field goal indoors in like 2 years," and they had a chance to go up 10 points, and he hooked it left, and they missed, and they ended up losing the game in overtime, and the Falcons ended up going to the Super Bowl, not winning it, of course, because it's the Falcons, but, And that being said, obviously the 28-3 game, I find it hard to believe that if you're a Falcons fan, you believe that there was a script that your team was going to go up 28-3, and then you were going to lose the Super Bowl to the Patriots. Again, I do think that the refs kind of helped it along with some questionable calls, but I don't know if it was completely scripted.
But we've learned that the refs just give questionable calls out all the time.
Of course they do. But at the same time, if you're in an overtime in a playoff game, especially like an NHL playoff game, you don't want to be the reason for why, the ref was the one that made the bad call. That's why the game was lost. And especially if it is an egregious call, you really have to do some shit to get a penalty in overtime because the refs don't want to make the calls. Let them play. Let them do their thing.
Yeah.
But it's tough to do. I mean, we'll see. Leafs blowing the 4-1 lead in Game 7 against the Bruins in Game 7. I just don't see why the Leafs fans would want that to happen. I can't say Leafs fans would want that to happen, but I don't see why the script would be that way. Why would you keep torturing the Leafs like that? That's one of your big markets. That's your biggest market in Canada is the Toronto media.
Yeah.
So why would you not want them to go to the next round?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to read off the rest of them quickly because I'm not going to sit here all day doing these.
Yeah.
The Bruins blowing a 3-0 lead in 2010 to the Flyers and then having a 3-0 lead in Game 7 to only lose that game. I believe it was 5-4 to Philadelphia. I'll say this about that series that year. Had Boston won that series, they would have played the Canadiens in the finals that year, the conference finals. I feel like the league would have probably preferred Boston and Montreal in the finals as opposed to Philadelphia and Montreal in the finals. It's still a good matchup, but you can't beat Boston, Montreal, especially when both teams are fairly good.
True.
The Gruden Bowl, which would be John Gruden going from being the Oakland Raiders coach to the following year he was the Buccaneers coach. The two teams met each other in the Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers just completely destroyed them because Gruden knew all their plays. He was literally their coach the year before. He knew their plays, he knew their formations, and Buccaneers defensive players have gone on record to say, we practiced their plays at our practice. So when we saw a certain setup or formation, we already knew what they were running. I think it's just bad luck on Oakland's part because obviously shit could have happened and Oakland may not have made it, and same with Tampa, but that's just the way it went down. The Harbaugh Bowl between Baltimore and San Francisco, where the two brothers, John and Jim, played each other, and there was a power outage in New Orleans, and the Super Bowl got delayed for a bit. I don't know if that was a script, but I think it's just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
The Tuck rule game will forever be talked about. Where did Tom Brady fumble it? Did he not fumble it? Kind of whole thing that led to, the Patriots' rise and sort of the Raiders' fall, I guess. The Patriots losing the perfect season. We talked about that with your dad, the legend. Is that the script? Like, yeah, the Patriots are going to go undefeated the whole year, and then out of nowhere, the Giants are going to beat them with this ridiculous catch from this no-name receiver that's only known for literally one play in his entire career, and the Patriots are going to lose everything and be 18-1. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't see them.
I can understand people hating the Patriots, but I just don't see that would be a script. I mean, you could try to convince me, but I don't know. The Music City Miracle, again, I think it's more of a miracle than it is a script. The Bills had a lead late in the wild card game in '99 against the Titans, and the Titans ran this play, which was kind of controversial for a while. Was it a forward pass? Was it a lateral? It led to a touchdown. They won. It's all in the history books. The Miami Miracle, where the Dolphins won on a trick play against the Patriots because the Patriots did not have the right personnel out there because they thought Miami was just going to heave it deep. So they said, we'll put Big Gronk out there. He can just bear paw it down. But they didn't do that. They ran a little short pass, and Gronk took the wrong angle, and they lost. And let's just move on because I don't want to talk about that one anymore. The wide right with the Bills in the Super Bowl against the Giants with Scott Norwood. Hard to believe that I think that's scripted. I mean, it's a good ending, granted. You have a chance to win the Super Bowl. You miss, it goes wide right. I think it's just a bad kickoff by the kid. I don't know. That one you might be able to get me a little bit, but I don't think it's scripted. I don't.
Yeah.
The no goal with Buffalo versus Dallas, where Brett Hull's foot was in the crease. Was it in the crease? Was it not in the crease? Should it have counted? It did. They won the cup. Dallas and Buffalo hasn't really done much since. The Patriots-Raiders game last year, where for some reason Jacoby Myers thought, hey, there's nobody else behind me except for my quarterback. Let's just throw it back to him when there's like 4 Raiders defenders that are there. And Mac Jones, of course, got completely demolished by Chandler Jones because Chandler Jones is much bigger and faster than him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the offseason, Jacoby Myers strangely goes to the Raiders. I think it's just weird coincidence. I don't think that's a script.
Yeah.
We also have the Blues 2019 Cup run. They were in last place towards, I think, like the end of January or something. And they got Binnington, and this kid comes out of nowhere, and he gets hot, and the team makes the playoffs, and they go on a run. And let's move on. They won the Stanley Cup, whatever. Nobody cares. The Astros and their trash cans. Legitimate cheating. Don't think that was a script. That's just legitimate cheating. They were hitting trash cans to let batters know like what pitches were coming based on what they saw. So they hit the trash can, and you would know it'd be a slider. Or they would hit it, and they would know it'd be a curveball or something. So you know what's coming.
Yeah.
The Indians blown a 3-1 lead to the Cubs in the playoffs in the World Series. Both teams had struggled for a long time trying to win a championship. I don't believe that would be a script. It's a good script that the Cubs won in 7 games, but Indians fans were looking just as long to win a championship, and now I think they're the longest active drought in the MLB.
Wow.
And, yeah. I don't know so much if it's script more than just kind of good TV. The Sosa-McGuire home run race in '98, where they would flip off from whatever was on ESPN or Fox or whatever the game was being shown to show McGuire, and specifically McGuire, but also Sosa's at-bats. And you turn on ESPN for the highlights on SportsCenter. Oh, McGuire hit 55 today. Sosa hit 53. McGuire hit 56. Sosa's at 56. And it was an amazing year. It was a good year. Obviously, there was a lot of steroids involved with it, but it's good for baseball to see, the whole home run race, and the fact that McGuire did hit the 62 off of against the Cubs, against of all teams, the Cubs in San Francisco, in St. Louis is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say it's a script though. Vegas's expansion run. I mean, they make the team in their first year they make the playoffs in their first year as an expansion team and get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. No other expansion team has done that. I will say this about Vegas though. They had the benefit of getting a lot better talent and players around them than any other expansion teams like the Thrashers or the Wild or the Blue Jackets or the Predators had, because back then you were getting bottom of the barrel players or very aging veterans, and you were not going to be, if you look back at those teams the first probably 5 or 6 years, maybe except for Minnesota, they were bad, and I mean bad.
Yeah. Now with the league, there's so much depth.
Right, but it also helps too that you can only protect so many players, so you're going to lose somebody good, at least in some cases for some teams, because there's so much talent.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? Like, obviously, the Leafs Lightning game last night we talked about. And we'll save this one for last because I know this one you know very well. The Messier Game 6, we will win guarantee, where he makes a funny comment in the New York Post or whatever about, oh yeah, we're going to beat the Devils in Game 6 and we'll win tonight and whatever, and guaranteed victory. And they're down 2-1 and he manages to tie it, take the lead, and oh yeah, no big deal, just put in a freaking empty net goal from his own end or whatever to get a hat trick in Game 6 after he had already guaranteed victory. And that's biblical. That's not a script. That's biblical. That's just, again, that's me saying that's sports being sports.
Yeah.
Mark Messier comes in as this messiah who's supposed to help lead the Rangers to a Stanley Cup. They're on the brink of elimination. He scores 3 goals to get a hat trick, wins the game. They end up winning in overtime in Game 7 with the Matteau goal, and obviously they went and won the Cup. But
yeah, and at that point, like you said, it's not a script. It's more along the lines of one player deciding, hey, I'm not losing this shit. If my team can't score, I'm going to fucking score.
Right, and what is that saying? The player with his back against the wall is going to play the hardest that he's ever played in his entire life. I am fully expecting, when we have Game 5 with Florida, that Florida is going to press hard. It's good that we're at home. It's good Bergeron might be back, but Florida is going to be pressing us all game.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want to get back to Florida to get a Game 6 and then potentially a Game 7. I obviously would prefer to just wrap this shit up in 5, have a little bit of rest, and get ready for probably Toronto, maybe Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
With that being said, this has been a very interesting episode. I did appreciate it. Thanks again for Mom for giving us a call. I'm glad we figured out that we'd have to just talk with the phone in the middle here instead of using the microphones.
Yeah, that is weird. I figured it would send the feedback back to the phone so she could hear us, but I guess not. It's doing it through the phone speaker. So from now on, when we call people, we'll have to put the phone in the middle.
Right. I will say that she did a fabulous job talking, and she's got a very natural radio voice.
Yeah.
She did a wonderful job. So
She had everything planned out already.
She was ready to rock and roll, man. I wasn't sure what she was going to do. I thought we were going to have to start asking her questions, and she started hitting us with suggestions about stuff, and I'm like, oh, she came prepared. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? That's good. She's been listening to the show, so she knows.
She does know. That being said, we are the Wicked Case Podcast, streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Deezer, and wherever you can get all major podcasts, as well as YouTube. All episodes, unless otherwise told by us, come out at noon on Sundays.
Might be changing the format. We'll see. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Phone number, 774-764-9074. Again, that's 774-764-9074. If any ladies out there want to give a call.
Yeah. But you said last week that you didn't want to, you weren't concerned about those ladies.
Well, listen, if they come hither, I'll talk. It's fine. Nobody specifically, Emily. It's fine. Email thewickedks@gmail.com. Website www.thewickedks.com. Socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at thewickedks. And of course that Patreon, which we'll put more, if more people sign up for Patreon, $3 a month, patreon.com/wickedks. We'll put more shit out there.
Now that your mom is on there, though, we should be putting content up every week.
We will put up content. I know you've got a bunch of like goofy pre-show things you can put up there, I'm sure, or whatever.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of things.
There's all kinds of stuff we have, some goofball moments. And again, if you want to be on the show, let us know. Send us an email, send us a message or whatever, and give us your number. And it's easier for us to call us than it is for you to call us.
We'll give you a call.
Right. We'll give you a call instead of you calling us. It's very... it's
doing the dance over here.
I'm doing a pants dance over here, and it's just something. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. Peace and love, y'all.
Let's get wicked.
Wicked pisser.